Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the first ever Five with Fraze. I'm super excited to be here. As I said, this is all about intentional. Now, intentful was a word, but it's not what I meant. Intentional conversations, meaningful, just talking about things that really matter. So, without further ado, I'm here to welcome my first ever guest. I've known her for 16 years. You might know her from the first ever series of UK Love is Blind. I'm here with Demi Brown. Hi Demi, how you doing?
Hey Fraser, how are you?
So, talk to me, Dem. How's things going for you?
Life is very interesting. Obviously, post Love is Blind, just getting back to the norm, or my now new norm, which is life. Navigating that.
I'm guessing things look very different for you at the moment.
Yeah, because like when I walk down the street, like people know who I am. Some people, not everyone. And that was not the case a few months ago. So.
And how are you finding that?
Now it's okay, but at first it was a little bit overwhelming. Because obviously I had to rewatch things and then deal with that. That was interesting. But we're good. Yeah. I'm good.
Talking about watching it, obviously I was a big fan of the show before you went on. So then knowing that you went on there, obviously you called me and told me you'd be going on and I'd be seeing you on my screen. But I have to say that from knowing you for so long, I'm incredibly proud of you. It was inspirational to see how you handled yourself in that show and how all the conversations we've had moving forward, I feel like it's changed you massively. And I'm incredibly proud to be, intentional, the word. Yeah. So from me to you, honestly,
Thank you.
I'm very proud of everything you've done so far. And I know there's even bigger and better things coming. So Dem, you ready?
I'm ready.
You look nervous.
I am nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous.
Wow, what's up? What's up?
I don't know. I feel like, I'm all right. Let's go.
You good?
Let's dive deep.
We got this. So 5 questions, okay? Hopefully I'll be able to pick up on some things. Obviously, it's my first time doing this too, so we'll work on it together. You're probably more experienced than me at this now, innit? So
should be, right?
Maybe, shall we swap seats?
No, don't.
Okay, all right. So first question, okay? You're allowed to relive any day exactly as it was. You changed nothing. Just tell me a little bit about those 24 hours. What day would you pick and why?
I don't know the specific day, but I know I would go back to like when my nan was alive and I would pick, I'm torn between two. So it'd be like the first time she ever watched me play football, even though I was awful and I like literally miskicked the ball and I fell on the floor and she was like, "Yeah, go Demi," even though I'd done nothing great. That was great. Or I'd pick like Christmas Day round her house with all my family. I must have been about like 8. But I can't really remember like the specifics. I can just remember the feelings, like feeling warm, feeling love. Yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
I can imagine. And what was it like to have her at your football games?
Do you know what? She only ever come to one.
Yeah?
Yeah, she only ever come to one because then she got diagnosed with cancer and then, But the one that she did come to, she was really unwell, but I didn't know at the time. And like she was just jumping up and down with joy. So I suppose leaving that back would be good because I know that she'd be proud of me.
Yeah, I've no doubt in my mind that she would be, and someone that's seen you play football, I'm sure she enjoyed that too.
I can imagine her watching Love is Blind and jumping up and down too. So
definitely. I think everyone that knows you jumped up and down when they watched that. As I said, you gave a really good account of yourself.
Yeah,
so I have no doubt that your grandma's up there somewhere looking at you smiling.
And Christmas dinner because she could really cook as well. Come on.
She didn't want to teach you?
I was young. I was like 8. I used to follow her around in the kitchen to help her, like with utensils and stuff. Like, I don't think she really trusted me. I was more of entertainment. Like, I'd be like the singing person at the end of the meal.
So, what did your grandma leave you with, those experiences that you talk about?
I feel like my nan was kind of like the connection of our family, like the go-to person that would bring everyone together. And like, I suppose she just left me with wanting to be that person, like to fill in her footsteps, if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, just a good feeling. Yeah. I don't even know how to dive deep into that one.
It's all right. Obviously, Love is Blind. You haven't had a conversation with her, but what would you tell her about that show?
Yeah, it's a whirlwind of emotions. I know she'd just be cussing anyway. Yeah.
Cussing you or
Cussing everyone else.
cussing
She ain't
everyone?
gonna cuss me. She would cuss me a little bit actually. Tell me to have more confidence and stuff. But yeah.
Do you feel confident now?
Yeah. 100%.
Good, good. All right, then. Thanks so much for sharing that. Obviously, my loss has been a massive part of who I am now, and I remember losing my nan like it was yesterday, and it's something that I can still very much feel now. So thank you so much for sharing that. You ready? How you feeling? You all right?
Yeah, good. I feel better now.
Good. Settled in.
Gone. Yeah,
good. Ready for question 2?
Let's go.
All right. So question 2, you're allowed to go back to one specific moment in time and tell a younger Demi Brown one thing and one thing only. Where would you go and what would you say?
Oh yeah. This one. There's a few moments I would go back to. I don't actually want to pick out a specific moment, but like maybe like an age in my early 20s.
You're not allowed to sit on the fence, though.
No, I have to sit on the fence.
I
No,
think
don't make me say
you need to get off the fence.
No, I have to.
You see that fence you're
Yeah.
sitting on?
Yeah.
Get off of it and be
But
brave.
I
That's
feel
what you're
like
here to
there's
do.
no, but I feel like it's not just one time. I feel like maybe I just need to go and speak to myself in a period of times. A time period.
Do you? Talk to me about the time period.
Okay, so I would go back to this time period in my early 20s and remind myself of the vision that I had for myself in my early teens and tell myself to be intentional with my behavior in that moment so that I could get to what I visualized in my teens rather than doing what I was doing. I'm really speaking around. I'm really like trying not to speak the truth.
I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's a bush. There's a bush in the background, and you're beating around the bush. Do this one again. You're beating around the bush. So I'm gonna have to ask some questions because I'm confused, and I'm sure that everybody else that's listening to you is a bit confused.
I'm a bit confused. No, I'm not confused.
So what did you want for yourself?
All right. So like growing up, yeah, I always had like my mum and dad. Like, I'm very fortunate, and like I feel like they've shown me like a good example of what like a healthy relationship or like love is. So like growing up, I was always like, by the time I'm 24, I'm gonna be married with children and all that. That was like what I kind of visualized when I was younger. But I suppose my behavior wasn't really like aligning with the vision.
So remind me and everyone else, what would you tell yourself?
I would just tell myself like, look at what you've got and think about how you need to behave to get that.
Thank you. Happy with that?
Yeah, that's fine. It took a while.
We're going with that one?
Yeah.
So how did it look? All right, we got there.
It was a bit of a mess.
Okay, so question 3 is probably my personal favourite of my 5 questions. And it's about the words power and strength. Those have been sort of 2 words that I feel have been very detrimental to me because I've got them very wrong in the past. So what I would want to know, what do those 2 words mean to you? And can you give us an example of when you feel you've shown both?
I don't know. I kind of associate strength with like endurance. I don't know, like the more you do something, the stronger you become. And then the more powerful you get. I don't know. But for me, I think if I was to like use those 2 words in a scenario of what I've overcome, I suppose it would be with endometriosis, to be honest with you. I feel like I felt like when I was going through my diagnosis, I felt like it was more of a weakness than a strength. But then I changed the narrative to like my mindset making me think less of it being a weakness, but more of it being my strength, and like focusing on all the positives that come with the diagnosis, if that makes sense. And then like giving myself grace every time the month would come and I'd overcome it, if that makes sense. And like have a bit more of a positive mindset on it rather than, be negative. And I suppose that kind of empowered me. I don't know, maybe that?
Yeah, of course. So
Um,
talk to me, because I think that's something very powerful. Because I think we all have weaknesses,
mm,
all things that we could improve upon. But how did you turn something that you deemed a weakness into a strength?
um, I just gave gratitude to it. I just like. I think there's so much that goes on in the world, yeah, and there's so many people that have different kind of diagnoses, or everyone's going through their own battles. But when I stripped it back to like what it was and how it affected me, I was like, but there's so much more. Like I can still live a high quality like life, and in that moment, I was like, well, I've got to be grateful for that, and I've got to be thankful. So yeah, I need to change the narrative of how I see it. And also I do feel like for a long time I let like endometriosis play into a lot of my insecurities, or like it stemmed into a lot of my insecurities. And for me to kind of get over that, I needed to change how I looked at it. So yeah.
I think gratitude is so important, and
So
changing
important.
narratives is powerful.
Mm.
Gratitude is not always easy. Something I'm still working on.
Yeah.
But how do you practice gratitude?
So I do like a gratitude list, like before I go to bed. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I do slip off and then I'm asking myself, like, why am I getting into this negative headspace? It's because I'm not really doing all the things that like I practice to help me with that. But yeah, ideally I like to do it about 3 times a week now. Just a gratitude list. Could be of the day, could be of the week. Like 10 things I'm grateful for.
Something you're grateful for right now?
Being here.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's
being
nice.
your first ever one as well.
First ever
Trust in
one.
me to
Trust in
speak.
you. It makes sense. It makes sense. So yeah, thank you so much again for sharing. We're moving on to, obviously for me, I think we'll touch upon that, cut it. Why is such an important question to me? Obviously, when we talk about diagnosis at sort of 21, that's when the word social anxiety was first chucked at my way. And as someone that still struggles with ego, still struggles with pride, the way in which I thought I could deal with that is this interesting notion of strength and hiding it and trying to fight like that resistance. Almost it's not there, not wanting to show people, not wanting to talk about it. And I think we're talking 7, 8 years, the notion of having to be this strong man, this protector, this provider was my cage with those things. So it's really refreshing to hear you talk about changing narratives and changing things, because as I said, that stopped my growth for so long. So it's beautiful to hear that.
Yeah. And also it's like masking, isn't it? But you have to unmask and then face your vulnerabilities to then make them your strengths.
Masking, it's a whole conversation for another day. Listen, the amount of times I've been in places and pretended to be sick and run home, it's because I weren't feeling up to it. And so they're going, oh, you know what, can someone open a window like this? But I'm glad to hear your strategies, and I'm sure other people are too. So question 4, ready?
Yeah. Go for it.
So I want to know about sort of the toughest, the deepest, maybe the darkest moment you faced. Tell us a little bit about it and how you overcome it.
Oh. I would say navigating my like when I first got my diagnosis of endometriosis, but then also going through like a relationship breakdown at the time was probably one of the toughest things, because it was like I blamed the fact that I had endo for the breakdown of the relationship rather than taking accountability for my actions, and or like even not even my actions, but even knowing that the person wasn't the right fit for me and stuff. So I really struggled with that, and like post op, I spent like a week in bed, like I just didn't. It wasn't like social anxiety or anything. I suppose maybe it was, but like I just didn't want to be around anyone and stuff. And I've never really, I feel like I'm quite good at regulating my emotions, but in that moment, I just couldn't take control of how I was feeling. Yeah, that was not nice.
And how was you feeling at that time?
Unworthy of love. That was scary. And then also feeling like being told at like 25, you can't naturally conceive and stuff. Like, it was horrible. Oh my gosh, every time it triggers me. But yeah, anyways, Yeah, it's fine. But this is
You're
what the
right,
reason.
yeah?
Yeah, no, I'm good. But the reason why, yeah, like it's so powerful, right? Because even though it was dark, right, I'm just reliving that moment. But like where I am right now is so different. And like, as I said, changing the narrative to be told that then was really scary. But now, like, there's so many options. Like, it's not necessarily like what a doctor tells you is the be and end all of everything. Whereas that's where I was at. And I really put a lot of blame on myself. I felt like the universe was out to get me. I was like, what have I done? Yeah, and I just felt really sorry for myself. And like, if I could just go back, I would like just shake myself and be like, get out of this. It's not healthy. Yeah.
You're right. Do you want to take a minute?
No, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I need to power through it because like, it can't always be the trigger. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have got power over it, but obviously I'm reliving a dark moment, and it wasn't nice.
Thank you so much for
right.
sharing that with me. Obviously, in terms of kind of back to what we said at the start, being worthy of love, I'm sure you know it now.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the person that sits in front of us today, everyone's worthy of love, but the person that sits in front of us today is loved by loads.
Yeah.
And is definitely worthy of all the love that she's getting. So.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, just wasn't a nice thing. And I think, like, to go on to masking, right? I've like back in the day, I was always known as like the fun auntie or like the bubbly person in my family, which was fine. But like, you don't understand the battles that people face internally. Like, it's hard. And now I'm gonna start again. Right, wait, one sec. Yeah, it is hard, but it gives you the strength.
So you're going through this battle, you're masking, you're keeping it to yourself,
Yeah.
as so many of us do. You're in bed for a week, you're in a dark place.
Yeah.
We spoke about changing narratives. How does the strong, powerful Demi get out of that place?
To be honest with you, at that time, I don't think I would have been able to do it without my family. Like your network and your network is like very powerful, I'd say. And like, you know, like my mom always checking in on me, my dad, like even just like trying to get me my favorite foods and whatever. Like it gets to a point where it's like it's starting to affect them, and you don't want that to be the case, so you just kind of snap out of it. But then I would say I'd never really faced all of that until I went on to reality TV. So like I carried on after that dark period. I carried on masking for like 5 years.
So I feel like masking's a big term.
Yeah.
Big term for you. So talk to me, how did you overcome the masking? What was the point?
Went on Loveisblind because I was stripped back of, outside noise, like distractions. Like I didn't have a phone. I didn't have my family by my side. I didn't have like alcohol. I didn't have just going out on the weekend with my friends to kind of forget how I was actually feeling. I didn't have all of that. I was just told like, you're going to be away for this amount of time. You're not going to have your mobile phones. You're going to be like isolated in a hotel room on your own. And I remember like the first day I got there, I remember like had like a fresh journal. Everyone loves a fresh journal, come on. So I was writing down like what I wanted from the experience and stuff. But leading up to that moment in time, I was talking to my family and friends about what I wanted from the experience. But when you put pen to paper, it's so powerful. And like the more I was writing, I was like, oh wow, like I really want, this is what I want. And then as the days were going on in the experiment, like I started to ask myself uncomfortable questions about myself. And like, yeah, I suppose I was no longer shielded by outside noise. I just kind of had to listen to, myself. And it was scary, to be fair, but like also very good, because then it started to make me feel like I want to be more intentional.
I know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
But you're stripped back from all your safety blankets, as you call them, all the things you use to mask.
Yeah.
You're with your pen and your paper. What did you find in yourself?
Finding myself.
What did you find like within yourself?
My worth, like who I am, like what my values are. I feel like it's so easy to say like these are your values, or like this is what I believe in, but then your actions are just not aligning with what you're saying. Whereas in that moment I was like, oh, well, if that's what I want, then maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or, oh, this is good and this is getting me to where I need to go to, and maybe I should do some more of that. Like putting in boundaries as well. Like I feel like I lacked quite a lot of boundaries before the show, like with my time, like things that I would do. Like,
Give us some examples, because boundaries is
yeah.
something. It's not even a
I used
word
to just,
I'd heard.
I just used to say yes to everything. I would like literally like, yeah, I can do that. Like Dem, do you mind hosting this for me? Or like, and then even like with football, like, oh, do you think you could play this game? Yeah. Or like, just even work, like not even work actually, work was fine. I mean, but like I wouldn't want to say no to anyone. I would always want to say yes, because I wouldn't want to kind of let anyone down. But by doing that, I was just burning myself out and like getting really stressed over like things that like, does it really matter? Like, why are you stressing so much? And then so by putting in those boundaries to like, you know, say no and not feel bad as well, it was really helpful.
Yeah, and something I'm still working on.
You gotta say no.
No, yeah, gotta say no. I'm a natural born people pleaser.
No.
Yeah, 9 p.m. I'll be getting out of my pajamas and putting something on to go help someone when I'm tired. And it's healthy to be able to say no. And
and the right people will understand as well. I think we worry about like how other people will kind of take that, like, oh, they're gonna think this and gonna be no, and if they do, that's on them. It's not on you.
Definitely so powerful. Right, Dem, we're almost at the end.
Okay, last one.
How you feeling?
Yeah, good.
Question 5, 5 with Fraze.
Let's go.
Ready?
Yeah.
So this is about sort of the biggest pivotal moment in your life, a time, a something that has completely sort of changed the way you think, feel, or act. Tell us about the sort of eureka moment and what came as a result of that moment.
We have to talk about Love is Blind again, because I do think it was a significant time in my life that made me realize a lot. And if I could zoom in, I would say like the final episode, so like the wedding day. And the reason why is because I have my journal, right? And I journaled my whole experience of the show. And I remember very clearly the night before the wedding, I had like wrote down some things. And, you know, when I first went onto the show, I really thought it was about finding my person. But the day of, or the night before the wedding, I was like, the person I was searching for was me. Because I actually wrote a letter saying like, dear future husband, on day first, like the first day of the experiment. So before we even got into the pods. And actually, I wish I actually brought it, but it was very powerful, like talking about like my vows basically to my future person, like talking about how I'm going to pour into them and all this stuff. And then when I sat there and I read through it, I was like, this shouldn't even say dear future husband. It should say like dear future Demi, because I realized that, yeah, I went in there with the intention to find someone, but like I found the best thing, and that was like my self-love journey. And yeah, I know people are like, oh, you shouldn't go on a show to find, like that wasn't the intention, but I was just lucky enough to stumble across that on the way. And yeah, when I was like at my wedding and I turned back and I just saw all my family dressed so beautifully, like I was like, I am so lucky and grateful to have such a supportive family. And I'm like, I'm so loved. And I feel like as much as I was told that all my life growing up, I had to feel it myself and I had to like understand that. And in that moment, I really did. And then I was thinking like, look how beautiful my dad is. And he's like walking me down. I was like, one day this is exactly what I'm going to have, but like 10 times better. So I feel like that moment was such a good moment and has now like steered the direction of like, that's what I'm going to be working towards. I'm not saying it's a priority to go out and find my person, but like it's a priority for me to like behave in a way that aligns with what I vision as a wife, or what I vision as like a grown woman. I don't know, like it's so weird. So like my behaviors have really shifted and been really intentional post show.
So it sounds like you speak about your upbringing, nuclear home,
yeah,
a lot of love,
yeah,
what loads of kids want was definitely loved, but it took almost quite a tough experience in Love is Blind for you to make the most sort of growth, the most movement.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's crazy. No, even when it's right in front of you.
Because sometimes we're faced with challenges and it's like, oh, why me, why me, why me? But
Yeah.
sometimes the biggest wins come from those.
100%.
So moving forward from that, what looks different? Because I see it in every single time we speak, but what looks different?
Priorities. Like post-show, I like made sure that I wrote down the things that bring me joy, and I leaned into that. So like I love doing charity work. So I was like, all right, first thing I need to do is book a trip back to Tanzania, because I went there when I was 17 and it was an amazing time. So that was like one of the first things I'd done. Cutting ties with people that no longer fit into my life, or like where I want my future to kind of go. And also like when I say cutting ties, it's just like being at peace with it as well, because I don't, or never kind of wanted to like have bad blood with anyone. I just feel like it, yeah. So having some conversations, some not so great, but having those conversations. Then work, just being grateful that I'm in a good workplace that promote mental health and well-being. And then family, obviously, like went to go stay with my mum and dad, bother them again, because it's like I don't really necessarily want to be on my own all the time, and it's like I enjoy being with them. And you know, as someone who's in their 30s, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about, oh, moving back in with your parents, and it's like, why do I care about the opinion of anyone else? I'm gonna do what feels good to me, and I love waking up in the morning and putting a coffee on for me and my mum. Like, do you know what I mean? So I'm just feel like I'm waffling, but basically I just wrote down all the things that bring me joy, and I went out and prioritized those things. And the things that were bothering me, so like I've always been, I've had an unhealthy relationship with food and been very inconsistent when it comes to gym. I like boxing, I like playing football, but like being accountable to get up and go to the gym on my own has never been something that I've kind of, done. And that was something I wanted to prioritize and get better at. And I just, to be honest, I wanted to just improve my discipline. And it's a work in progress.
How's it going?
It's a work in progress, but it's going well. Yeah. So, and then, so the priority of like finding a person, right? It literally just like dropped down, whereas it was like number one.
And now you're number one.
Now I'm number one. Yeah, me, I'm the priority.
Good to know. And I think law of attraction is what people say, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Right, then thank you so much for being the first ever guest on Five with Fraze. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling like that was good. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed the questions. I mean, maybe don't dive too deep.
Yeah, listen, I just asked the questions, you answered them, and I appreciate you so much for how you did. I feel like vulnerability is another key word that I'm working on right now, but I feel like you've definitely come in, and that's all you've been really since the show is yourself.
Literally.
Very raw. So I've done enough talking. So how we end the show is with a sign off. So I need a sign off from you, Dem.
What's my sign off?
So for the sign off, basically, I would love for you to share a bit of advice that could support someone that's watching, even if it's just one person that it helps make their day 1% better. What's one bit of advice you could give them, or wish that you received at a point in time?
My sign off would be, don't dwell on the past, don't stress about the future, but live in the present. Give yourself grace, love yourself, all of that great stuff.
Dem, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much for coming on the show, the first ever guest. I look forward to putting it out there.
Appreciate you. Appreciate Five with Fraze.
Thank you so much, everyone. Stay tuned for this. I'd love to hear your reactions. Drop us something in the comments, and obviously there will be more to come.